Shalom. It's your brother Dawud Dow from GMS Tampa Bay 07, coming at you with another video. First and foremost, I want to say all praise unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Salutations to you, I can push this truth on the four corners of the earth with truth and sincerity. All right, I'm going to get into this here quick lesson, talking about the times that we in. And, we in, pretty much we at the last of the last, we in the end stretch, And I just want to bring out a couple precepts real quick, just to give a generalization about the times that we're in, So I'm going to go ahead and start off. And the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 9, verse 1. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before. Okay? So the Most High here is, saying, like, measure the time diligently, And, this is pretty much self-explanatory, It's like, if somebody tell you, you're riding on a school bus, right? And they tell you you're going to be the second to the last stop, When you're on the bus and the bus is completely full, you don't even really have to look for your stop, But when you get down to, it's you and two other people on the bus, right? Okay, there's one more person is about to get off the bus, and then my stop is coming next, That's you measuring the time diligently, looking at the things around you and things that's, kind of adding up, Verse 2, Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Okay? Basically talking about getting into the end times, we starting to get into the end times. A lot of people always ask about, when is the end coming, the end times and things like that, the Most High gave us signs and things like that to let us know when these times are, and we kind of getting into some of that stuff today. It says, verse 3, Therefore when thou shalt see earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, okay, we read about that in Matthew 24, but it says also uproars of the people in the world. And right now, pretty much every place on the planet Earth, there's an uproar of people over some kind of calamity, some kind of something, Here in America, they have they had a thing with the Black Lives Matter. They had a thing with Antifa. They had Occupy Wall Street. They had all kind of different things going on here. You had the things with the Gadites, the so-called Native Americans, and what was it, that pipeline they had up there. I can't think of the name of the pipeline, but they had all these type of things going on. There's all kind of calamities and uproars. You have the LGBTQ community, in their uproars. You have the East versus the West. America and Russia. America and North Korea, all kind of things like that. You got the uproars of people. You got all kind of things, calamities. Every country has their own calamity going on right now. Some of the countries are, are in conglomerate with each other. Pretty much, you got like a 2-on-1 type of deal going on. Or other countries ganging up with other countries on top of other countries. Basically like the debacle you got going on in Syria. You got all these countries over in Syria waging war over in Syria, It says, Then thou shalt understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world has a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Okay? So the Most High, the Most High is all about balance, If there's a beginning, there's an end, Everything that there is, there's basically not necessarily an opposite, it's always a two-way street, If there's a left, there's a right. If there's an up, there's a down. If there's a male, there's a female, There's always, it's balanced with everything, If there's a beginning, there's an end, It says, Thou shalt understand, wait, verse 5. For like as all things is made in the world have a beginning and an end, the end is manifest, okay? The end being manifest is like we just read, thou shalt well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the beginning, okay? So the things that he told us, you're going to start seeing those things being manifest. They're going to start coming true, Like I gave the example of you riding on the bus, I told you, look, you're going to get off the bus at the second to the last stop. Now you on the bus, you had a bus full of people, and you starting to realize, okay, now the bus is getting empty. It's starting to manifest now. You know, you can't quite see your stop anytime soon because the bus is full of people. But now it's you and two other people on the bus. You starting to see your neighborhood now. You starting to see things start to manifest. Like, okay, they told me, you know, I'll be the second to the last person to get off the bus, and now it's, you know, me and two other people, you know, or we just dropped off the third person, and now it's just me and another person. Now I'm starting to see my neighborhood roll up, you know. It says, verse 6. Even so, the times of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. Okay, like we were just going through, you know. And everyone that shall be saved shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye believed. Okay, and you know the things that are written aforetime was written, you know, basically for our understanding and to lift us up. You know, the Most High gave us signs and things like that to tell us, you know, when things was coming. And again, like I keep using the bus thing, you know, these things, you know, you're gonna miss your stop if you don't believe that you're the second to the last stop. You know, you also got to do your diligence to look at the other people on the bus, you know, to see when your stop's coming up. Same with this, you know. Blessed is he that readeth. You know, with all that get understanding. You know, with all these things, you're going to be able to understand these parables and these signs. You know, you're going to be able to see, well, spiritually, you're going to be able to hear that alarm clock go off. Then you're going to know it's time to wake up, you know, as a metaphor, you know. But if you can't understand the alarm clock, you don't know what that signal or that alarm is, you're not going to know what's going on, you know. Jump into the next scripture. I'm going to switch apps real quick. I just like this one a little better. The next scripture says, where do I want to go? Not where I want. The book of Luke. This is the book of Luke, chapter 10, verse 24. For I tell you that many prophets and kings have desired to see those things which you see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. Okay, so it says many prophets and kings. You know, we read in, you know, as we read throughout the Bible, you know, you have a lot of the prophets and stuff, especially like Isaiah, Jeremiah, you know, all the, you know, pretty much all the prophets in, you know, Isaiah, Daniel, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Haggai, Hosea, Joel. You know, for the most part, they were all speaking about the things that basically they was telling you about today. You know, a lot of people talking about, oh, those are biblical times, Bible times, and stuff like that. But these people, they lack understanding and they lack knowledge. You know, they also lack the understanding of words. You know, prophet, you know, or prophecy is to say before. You know, and a prophet is one who is doing the action. You know, who is doing the saying before. You know, that person who. Okay, put it to you this way: if you know, if it's kind of hard for you to understand, it's like a weatherman. The weatherman is telling you the weather forecast, you know. He's telling you the weather before it comes out, you know. He's telling you the forecast, but yet he's the weatherman, you know. So the prophet would be the weatherman. The prophecy would be the weather forecast, you know. He's just telling you, okay, today Monday, next Friday it's going to rain, you know. Basically, that's what a prophet is, you know. And it says, for I tell you, many prophets and kings have desired to see the things which you see and have not seen them, and hear the things which you hear and have not heard them. What are the things that we see and that we hear, you know, that they wish they could have seen? You know, is these prophecies coming to pass? You know, just think about it from the time of, like, let's say Isaiah until today. All the generations in between those days, you know, people were reading the scripts and the scrolls, and they was reading and seeing these things. You know, when is salvation coming? When is these end of the times coming? You know, just, you know, previous generations before us, you know. Maybe your grandparents have already passed away, or their parents before them have passed away, you know. And if they read the Bible, they read about the mark of the beast, you know. And in their times, in those days, they couldn't even imagine what the mark of the beast is, you know. They couldn't imagine none of that type of stuff, you know. Somebody who died, let's say, let's say somebody who died 50 years ago, you know. They couldn't even imagine the internet. They couldn't imagine, you know, digital currency. They couldn't imagine, you know, all the things that consist of this RFID chip, the microchip, the mark of the beast. They couldn't even imagine that because the technology wasn't even around. So they wished and desired to see these things. Oh, when is the Lord coming back? A lot of people say they long for those days, but yet they don't see those things. But yet it says the desire to see the things which ye see and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear and have not heard them. We starting to hear and see these things. We starting to see the uproars of the people, the calamities, the perplexity, and all these things going on. And so we're those that are fortunate enough to see these things at this point in time. We're gonna get into some of those things real quick. Try not to make this video too long because I don't have too much recording time in this method. Okay, so some of the things that I was speaking about, you should hear wars. This is Matthew 24. I'm going to actually jump around. I wanted to get something a little further down, but just as an example of some of the things, this is Matthew 24 and verse 6. And you should hear wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine, pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay? So we've always had wars and rumors of wars going on, but at this point in time, there's pretty much, if you're a country on the planet Earth right now, you predominantly either got a war or a rumor of war lingering around you. You got some kind of conflict, you got some kind of calamity, perplexity inside your nation with its people. Then they shall deliver you up to be afflicted, and they shall kill you. You shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall arise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that endureth to the end, same shall be saved. Okay. Here's one for you. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. Then the end shall come. And a lot of the generations beforehand, they had believed that, they believed that, that had been done beforehand because, the Edomites pretty much pushed on Christianity throughout the globe, in which that wasn't, what this is talking about. And this gospel, that's not this gospel that they preached. They preached, basically they preached crowley Christianity, do thou wilt, do whatever you want to do, just believe in Jesus Christ and you're going to be saved, First of all, they have you calling onto a name that it's not going to get you nowhere. When the Lord walked on this earth, nobody called him by that name. That letter J wasn't even invented at that point in time. Nobody around him called him that name. So at this same, when they say there is no name under heaven which you shall be saved by, at that point in time when they was reading and speaking about that, the name that they was given was Yahushua. They didn't even have a name and concept to Jesus. This is some whole new thing coming up. So just imagine that. If I told you the secret password to get into the clubhouse was potato chips, right? And, you was getting into this club year after year after year after year after year, and then all of a sudden a new group come along and then they think that the new password is banana. They're not going to get in because the password didn't change. It's just a new group of people. Their minds changed and, they was given a different password and, like Monopoly, do not pass go, do not collect $200. If you don't have the right password, you can't come in the club, But we're going to just jump down to the point we were trying to get here in Matthew 24. All right, so, for the sake of time, reading through here, these are some of the signs of, the end times, But we're going to just jump down to verse 32. It says, now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, he putteth forth leaves. Ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise, when you shall see these things, know that it is near, even at the door. Okay? Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Okay, but, alright, we're going to read further down, but The parable of the fig tree, when his branch is yet tender, he putteth forth his leaves, summer is not. It's pretty much like it's like a time clock inside of your environment, more or less, to say the things around you. When you see it's sunny outside, no cloud in sight, it's going to be a clear sunny day. When you see dark clouds and it's dark and gloomy outside, you pretty much can assure yourself it's going to rain outside. You see the police roll up behind you with their lights on, and you turn and he turn, and you speed up, he speed up, you slow down, he slow down. You pretty much can assure yourself that you getting pulled over. Just looking at the things around you, you can see what's going on. You in a crowd, a huge crowd, and everybody start running. What do? You just sit there and just wait around to see what happens, or you take off too. You look at the things around you, and you take heed to the things that's going on around you, and you act accordingly. So basically, here it's saying, like, look, when you see, let me just read it verbatim. It says, likewise, verse 33. So likewise, when you shall see all these things, you know that it is near, even at the door. Talking about the end time, that's when you know the end time is here. When you start to see them rain clouds, it's gonna rain. You don't need nobody to tell you, it's gonna rain outside. My dad taught me a real good lesson as a real young child. It was like, look, what do we need to do? The weatherman to tell us, what the weather's gonna be like, or how to dress accordingly before you start your day. All you need to do is go step outside the door and take a look. You walk outside. Or you inside the house, and you turn the news on trying to see what the weather's going to be like, and you have to turn the TV up because the thunder is super loud. You can't even hear the TV. That's just a little pointless at that point in time. You can hear the thunder outside. Why do you need the TV to tell you, that it's raining outside? This is pretty much what the scripture is saying. Like, look, you're going to see all these things coming to pass. This is when these times the end is, and like we just read, these are the things that these the prophets and the kings beforehand they desired to see, but they don't see them. But you see them, you see these things going on. Every time you turn on the news, there's something about war with China, war with Iran, war with Russia, war with North Korea. We got all kind of wars and rumors of wars and ISIS and all kind of crazy stuff going on, So these are the times that we're in. Verse 36, because we got to put this in here, just for the time, for the scoffers, and just to cover all bases. Don't give them no room for no gas or nothing like that. It says, verse 36, but of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. Scoffers would be like, you don't know when the end time's coming. If you talking to like scoffers or 2/3 or real low level people, and like you could be out preaching on how he's in the Bible saying it's the end times, time to repent, the Lord coming back. People have all heard this one scripture. It says, "But of that day and hour knoweth no man," So they'll repeat that. Oh, no man knows the day and no man knows the hour. Nobody know when the Lord coming back. They always push this. But they don't really do their due diligence of reading. If they was to read this in context, if they could find this verse in the Bible and read the things that was around there, the verses up above this and the verses below this is all explaining the time frame of when the end is. If you go back up to the top, the very first verse, or the second verse, this is or verse 3. It says, and he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came to him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the signs of thy coming and the end of the world? So, for the scoffers and stuff like that, the question was asked clearly, when is the end of the world, and it wasn't asked to, they could be like, well, Peter don't know, and Paul don't know, this and that. Like, well, they actually asked Yahushua, they asked the Lord, and this is how the Lord responded to them. This is what Matthew 24 is about, And so it says, oh man, get back down to where it was at. It says, but of that day and that hour knoweth no man, Nobody can sit here and tell you, look, on June 21st at 5 o'clock, p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the nukes gonna rain out. No man can tell you all of that, you know. No man can tell you that. But you know, like we're reading, you gonna know the season, you know. You might not know exactly when the rain's gonna fall, and you know when the first drop of rain's gonna hit the ground, but you can see that storm rolling in, you know. You know, all right, I need to bring an umbrella with me. It looks like it's gonna rain today. You know, you know about these things, you know. But jumping back into the lesson, verse 37. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Okay, so they telling you again more descriptions of the times of the end. You know, things to look out for. You know. It says, for in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving into marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Okay, so you know, and you see that going on today. You know, in the time where you know nuclear war is not on the table, but nuclear war is how do I say is guaranteed. You know. Guaranteed, you know, this, you don't even have to, you know, it's guaranteed because the Most High said so, but, I mean, you don't even have to look at this in a scriptural way, you know, there's no way of getting out of the calamities that we in politically, you know. Vladimir Putin even said, he's like, talking to the American people, he's like, you know, I don't know what's wrong with you people, y'all don't understand this shit. You're going down a slope that you can't come back up from, like, there's no end to this but just to nuke your ass, you know. And you got people making, you know, blatant statements saying, look, as soon as we get our bomb, we blowing y'all the fuck up, you know. North Korea, you know, talking about, look, as soon as we get one that'll reach far enough, we're going to hit y'all ass, you know. You got all kind of stuff like that going on, like, but they will also tell you, like, oh, man, don't nobody know, but at the same time, they're out there eating and drinking and marrying and giving into marriage, you know. Look at any of the videos when we out on the highways and the byways on the weekends, you know. We in the Concord places. We in the basically the you know the big city centers and stuff like that, you know. And all we see is people walking up and down the street and mirth, shopping, drinking, you know, like where we post up at camp, you know, on the walk up to camp, we walk by plenty of bars, you know. And as we walking by, you know, walking up to camp, you know, people are just sitting at their little bars, leisurely, just sitting there and drinking, and you know, they in their little rejoicing spirits, you know. They're just sitting there just having a blast all day long. But yet all at the same time, you know, there's councils being held of, okay, military setups and who going to war, who going to finance what, how many bombs you need, where we going to drop them, who going to deploy what and where. These types of meetings are happening right while these peons are sitting at these bars drinking it up and cheering on their local football team, you know. At the same time, just like in Rome, you know, right before the Roman Empire fell, they was out there in the gladiator stadiums and stuff like that, having a good old time, you know. And we even had a scoffer walk up to us. I think we was actually out on Clearwater Beach one weekend prophesying, you know. And you know, we was just, you know, going into the lesson, and some scoffer walks up to some war. You know, he's screaming about us preaching about war, you know. Oh, you guys talking about war, you so hateful, get off of this, nobody cares about war. And I'm like, what do you mean nobody cares about war? Turn the TV on, you know. This is one of the things you all love doing, is turning the TV on, you know, that fucking witch box, you know. You love watching TV, but yet you don't watch, you know, the things in which you should be watching on TV, you know. But if you turn on any news channel, for the most part, the main stories is either talking about war, or things preparing for a war, you know, or things dealing with other countries that could lead to war. So, you know, we're not living in a time where, you know, there ain't, you know, no military powers and no military equipment, no bombs, no missiles, nothing like that, and nobody on nobody on the planet Earth is talking about war nowhere. But yet, we're the only ones speaking about war. We're not living in no place or no time like that, you know, where, you know, the only people talking about a subject would be us, you know. It's like, you know, it's like you living in the world and something happens, you know. Let's say, you and your buddy, let's say you and your buddy are at the house and you wind up backing into his car or something like that, right? And keep bringing it up. Now it's 4 or 5 years later, you know, and y'all both got new cars, and he's still bringing it up. Like, man, you still talking about that? Like, you got a new car, I got a new car. I thought we was beyond that, you know? Like, nah, that's not what we're talking about. It's more or less like a situation like you just backed into my car, like, right now, and I'm still talking about it because your car's still touching my car right here at the moment. It's prevalent. It's right here and right there, you know? We talking about it because it's something that is a current event, more or less, to say, you know? Get to the last precept real quick. Close it out after this one. This is the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 25. There shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, the stars, and upon the earth, the stress of nations with perplexity, and the sea and the waves roaring. Okay? So, again, we were talking about the signs, you know, and the things that the prophets, you know, the prophets and the kings, they desire to see that we see, you know. And it says there should be signs in the sun and the moon, you know. We just got done witnessing what they call, I think it was called the Great American Eclipse, which was, I can't tell you whether it was a solar or lunar eclipse. I'm not too up on which is which at the time. But this one was basically like the sun was darkened, you know. It was one of those types. And then the other eclipses that we had before those on the high holy days and stuff like that, going into, I believe it was last year and the year before, or either this year and the year before, there were a bunch of blood moons, you know, those type of eclipses where, you know, where the moon would be showing for, you know. So it says, there should be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, you know, and upon the earth, distress of nations. And like we just got done saying, all the nations are at war. Basically, if you could imagine what it would be like to be Bashar al-Assad in Syria, you know, the president of Syria. His nation is in high distress. He has pretty much all the nations, all the Edomite nations in his country blowing it all up, you know. You got North Korea, you know, they basically got Donald Trump threatening them all day long, you know. China, they trying to get up out of this, how do you call it, basically the currency debacle, you know. They trying to get, you know, them and Russia and them, they all trying to get off of this central banking system, you know. This is, the stress of nations with perplexity, you know. There's a lot of things where, you know, we pretty much in a state, how do you say, a high state of perplexity to where, like Vladimir Putin said, you done reached this, a point of no return, more or less to say, you know, we so far gone, it ain't just like, you know, we can say sorry, kiss and make up. Nah, we to the point where, you know, Esau has been fully exposed and people just can't take it no more, you know. They got to the point where, you know, countries are like putting off the well-beings of their own nations and spending money trying to better their own nation, and they're like, you know what, we got to build a military up, we got to come together with, you know, even people we don't like, because, hey man, we got to get rid of America, you know. It says, men's heart failing them for the fear and looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken, you know. And their hearts are going to really fail when they see Yahushua. And let me read the next verse. Then they shall see the Son of Man coming in the cloud with power and great glory. You know, they're going to be, their hearts are going to fail when they see that. But also their hearts are failing like, you know, if you were Edomite here in America right about now, your heart's starting to fail, because just think back when Obama got in office. You've seen a lot of Edomites' heart failing because they thought their country was going to be sold unto the Muslims and all kind of other stuff, you know. They started to see, you know, the things that they had up on top start to fall and falter, you know. Everything for them is getting bad, you know. Now they got the so-called, you know, the regular baseline of American Edomites. They have the threat of ISIS, you know. That's one thing that they so-called afraid of, and they're afraid of Russia. They're afraid, you know, they're afraid of all these things that are threatening their, how they term it, their national security, you know. And their definition of national security is basically not securing this nation, the borders or anything dealing with that. It's basically securing their position on top of all the other nations, being that they rule supreme over them. So if by any way, anything that threatens their, let me turn this off. Salaki for the sound. I'm not sure if this just ruined my video or not. I know I'm having sound problems, so Salakia. I'm having a lot of technical difficulties this week. Oh man, this ain't good at all. Alright, we might not be able to deal with that. Salakia. Oh man. Alright. But anyway, Lord willing, this video still come out alright with the sound quality. Satan just being Satan. But anyway, just dealing with the complexity of these nations and stuff like that. You know, they have all kind of problems going on. You know, Esau and his so-called petrodollar is at a threat right now from the petro yuan and stuff like that. You know, so they would be worrying. They real perplexed because you know this is the one thing that pretty much keep America as the richest nation on the earth. You know, if anybody want to deal or sell in oil, they have to use the American dollar. You know, which gives our dollar gives our dollar value. You know. Verse 28. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your head, for your redemption draweth nigh. Okay? So again, like in this whole lesson, just talking about the times that we in, you know? These are the things, you know, they gave a lot of different examples about, like, look, you know, we're going to get back into the fig tree, but when you see these things going on around you, like, yo, you know what time it is, you know? We like to say that, right, you know, a lot. You know what time it is, right? It's that time, you know? So it says, when these things come to pass, all the things, the perplexity, the wars, rumors of wars, all these things come to pass, you know? It says, then look up and lift up your head, for redemption draweth nigh. You know, we getting into that time like there's never been a time on the face of the earth. You know, we slowly building until that day, until we basically get to the climax of the whole show, you know? Verse 29, and he spake to them a parable. Behold the fig tree and all the trees. When they now shoot forth, ye see, and you know yourselves that summer is nigh. So likewise, when you see these things come to pass, you know that the kingdom of God is nigh at hand. Okay. So again, this is you know, basically it's telling you about the signs. You know, when you start to see them rain clouds, you know you need to get your umbrella or your raincoat because it's gonna rain. You know, and I don't know any other way of putting it in any other separate ways, but these are the reasons we should be watching these prophecies. You know, for one, you read about them. Well, this is one of the reasons you should be reading and you know, doing your due diligence. But also, this is another reason why you should be watching the prophecies. You know, you read about it all the time, but you also need to be watching in the news and stuff like that to see these things come to pass. So you know, like the bus scenario I keep referencing. Like, you know, when you see the second to the last person, if you being the second to the last person, you see that third person getting up and getting his shit together, you need to start packing your bag and getting ready to get off the bus because you the next stop, you know? This video basically just going into, you know, how to measure the time diligently, you know, and just looking around the things coming to pass, you know? When you start to see, you know, again, like the scripture say, no man knows the time or the hour. But at the same time, you know, the prophecies that have to come to pass, the mark of the beast, you know, Armageddon, the nuclear war, you know, and you know, there's a prophecy that, you know, that's highly overlooked a lot, you know, in the nation of Israel, but we all understand it, we all believe it because that's what we out there doing, you know. But, you know, the children of Israel, the elect of Israel and the 1/3, they're going to wake up, you know, and they're going to come back, you know. This is one of the This one actually is before the mark of the beast in Armageddon, you know. We all have to be, you know, like the scriptures say, hurt not the earth until I have sealed my servants in their foreheads, you know. So once that prophecy is fulfilled, then, you know, the mark of the beast, and then, you know, the nuclear war is right following behind it, you know. But you can also measure the time diligently by watching the prophecy. So when you start to see, like we see right now, pretty much, you know, beforehand we were the only ones out there preaching about the mark of the beast being the microchip, right? But now, pretty much, on all your mainstream media and your mainstream news channels and stuff like that, they all, you know, for one, they're advertising this RFID chip and all the convenience. But also in that advertisement, they also telling you, like, oh, this sounds eerily close to that which was spoken in the book of Revelation, you know? And, you know, it's like, damn, even Esau out here bringing this out, like, you know, he telling you what it is, you know? So, you know, to be getting into those times when you start to see laws being passed and systems being built to where we slowly, you know, getting into that time, like, you know, we all had debit cards beforehand, but now all the debit cards, credit cards, they all have this microchip in them, you know? You start to see more and more systems and more things getting put onto the so-called internet or the cloud, you know, that type of deal. You're starting to see everything, you know, beforehand you used to get a lot of mail. Now a lot of things are paper or paperless and just coming to you, you know, straight, basically through the internet, more or less to say, you know. So you can see all these things come to pass, you know, and really you could just look at the mark of the beast deal, you know, and see, you know, when the time is to come. When they start, you know, when they do away with this this currency, and they get you, once they do away with this currency, then you know they got to replace it with another currency. And what currency they're going to replace it with? A digital currency. Okay, well then how are you going to be able to carry this digital currency? By the microchip. So as you see them setting this stuff up, and when you see these things get enacted, then you already know, you know, what's in motion, you know? Just like just like in football, you know, before the you know, before the ball is hiked, you got both teams on the line looking at each other, right? They sitting there, they patiently waiting. Nothing is in motion. They just sitting there, you know? But once that ball is hiked, that's when everything goes into motion. That's when all the plays start taking place, you know? So basically this is, you know, like what we're going into, you know, once you see the ball get hiked, then you know there's a possibility that somebody's about to score. You know, there's action on the field, more or less to say, you know? So beforehand, you know, if the technology of the RFID chip didn't even exist, you know you're not near the end. But now we see them pushing that out on everybody right about now. You know what time it is. You know, when they say about the Obama Brain Initiative and a paper, how do you say, like a paperless currency, or get rid of the currency we have now for a digital currency, you know? When they start pushing that more and more and more, you're like, all right, I know now we only got just a little bit more time left, because the only thing left now is, you know, for them nukes to rain down, you know? So with that, you know, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. You know, we didn't drug on way too long. I didn't think I had this much time, but, you know, Lord willing, this video was edifying. And, you know, it was just a, how do you say, a general video of how to, you know, look around at the signs that surround you. You know, it's commanded of us to measure the time diligently, you know, and watch ye therefore, you know. These are all commandments, you know, basically telling us, you know, keep up with current events, the news and stuff like that that's going on, so you can see what's going on. Because what good is it that you sit here and read the Bible all day long and you know all the prophecies coming up, but yet you don't even, you know what the mark of the beast is and all, you know that the mark of the beast is a microchip and everything. You know it's an RFID chip, but yet you don't watch the news, you don't watch TV. So, yeah, you waiting on the RFID chip, but because you don't watch the news, you didn't missed out that everybody already got it, you know? You didn't miss out on all of this stuff. Oh, you waiting over here with wars and rumors and wars and somebody to let off a nuke, and it didn't already happen, but you're not watching, you know? You know, more or less you would see that, but, you know, there's a lot of prophecies that go on day by day by day, you know, that most people don't even see going on, and, you know, the reason they don't see it is because they're not waking up, you know? Just like that scoffer up in Clearwater, you know, we preaching about war, and why are we talking about war? Obviously, he's not watching his TV because the whole world's in a state of war right now. You know, you got all these massive military drills, the most military drills and the most massive military drills ever taking place right now, and more often. You know, why? What are they practicing for, you know? Why is a boxer training? You know, a boxer's training because he about to have a fight, you know? He getting prepared for that which is to come, you know? But with that, you know, Lord willing, this video was edifying. I want to say, Kal Halal, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well. And salutation to you, I can push this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth. Shalom.